The galaxy was not quiet. Countless empires stretched their fleets across the stars, each one fighting for more power. Armies were raised, treaties were signed, and secrets were kept. For them, humanity was a name only found in old records, a lost race that had burned itself out centuries ago. No one had seen a human ship for over 500 years. Many believed humans were gone forever. But then, in the dark silence of deep space, something impossible appeared. At first, it was a small signal. A mining station on the edge of the Velar sector caught it. Their scanners picked up an object moving slowly near the outer rim. The miners thought it was a broken rock or a drifting piece of metal, but as the signal grew stronger, fear spread through the outpost. The object was too large, far larger than any asteroid. When they enhanced the scan, the miners froze. It was a ship. Not just a ship, but a massive structure, larger than any alien battleship. It had no clear markings, no signals, no crew chatter. The hull was dark, burned and scarred as if it had survived endless battles. Its design was strange and brutal, with heavy armor plates stacked upon each other. No empire had ever built something like this. It was alien to them, yet it was not alien at all. It was human. The miners sent a distress message to their empire. Within hours, fleets were dispatched. Commanders, admirals, and leaders from multiple empires wanted to see this ghost. The ship floated in silence as if it had been waiting for centuries. When the first alien fleet arrived, they kept their distance. The commander of the fleet, an old reptilian warlord, narrowed his eyes. "That is no ordinary vessel," he said to his officers. "This is a supercarrier." The word carried weight. Even his officers grew silent. They had all heard the stories. Long ago, humanity had created ships so large, so powerful, that they were called supercarriers. Each one carried thousands of fighters, heavy cannons, and weapons that could burn planets. They were nightmares in metal. Whole empires had fallen before them. But how was it possible? Humanity was gone. These carriers should have turned to dust long ago. And yet, here one was, floating, waiting. The alien fleet circled the massive ship carefully. Sensors probed its surface. No life signs. No energy weapons online. It was dead. Or it seemed dead. The aliens wanted to believe it was just an old relic. But then something happened, a pulse. It was faint, but every sensor picked it up. A wave of energy pushed outward from the carrier's heart. The lights on its hull flickered. The black metal shimmered for a second as if the ship was waking up from a long sleep. The alien fleet panicked. Fighters scrambled into position. The warlord shouted commands. "Do not fire unless it fires first," he warned. But his voice shook, and even he could feel the cold weight of fear pressing against him. The miners watched from their outpost, silent and pale. The signal spread fast, traveling from system to system. Soon every empire heard the same whisper. "A human supercarrier has returned." More fleets arrived. Dozens of species gathered around the silent ship. None dared move too close, but none dared retreat either. The carrier just floated silent and massive, its shadow covering entire squadrons. Every empire wanted to claim it, but none wanted to risk war with the others. Inside the alien councils, arguments broke out. Some leaders shouted that it must be destroyed before it reactivated. Others demanded it be captured and studied. But fear whispered louder than reason. If the humans had left behind one ship, could there be more? If this ship awakened, what else might it bring back? And then came the second pulse. This one was stronger. The lights across the ship's spine glowed faintly. Old human symbols lit up along the hull, shining like scars of fire. The sensors screamed. Massive reactors long thought dead were coming online. The fleets pulled back at once. The warlord's voice cracked as he shouted, "Retreat 500 kilometers." Now, the supercarrier did not fire. No weapons powered up. No fighters launched. But still, every alien commander felt the same dread. The silence was worse than an attack. The ship seemed alive, watching them, judging them. Rumors began instantly. Some said the humans had returned, hidden inside the carrier, waiting to strike. Some claimed an ancient AI was waking up, preparing to unleash the same terror that had once burned across the stars. No one knew the truth, but one thing was clear: the galaxy had changed. For centuries, empires had laughed at the idea of humans. They had called them reckless, violent, doomed. But now, with a single ship drifting in the void, every empire trembled. Soldiers refused to look at the image of the carrier. Officers whispered prayers in their private quarters. Even the most powerful leaders could not sleep, and still, the supercarrier floated, silent and patient, as if it knew exactly what it was doing. The warlord stood on his command deck, staring at the massive shadow on his screen. His scales felt cold, his hands shaking. He had survived many battles, but he had never felt fear like this. He whispered to himself, a thought he would never share with his crew. If the humans are truly back, we are already lost. The supercarrier pulsed once more, and the galaxy held its breath. The news did not stay hidden. The image of the giant ship spread across the galaxy like fire. Every trading hub, every military station, every private channel whispered the same words. The humans are not gone. Their ship is here. In the capital halls of the empires, leaders gathered in emergency meetings. Their faces showed fear that they tried to hide. For centuries, humans had been a myth, a story told to young cadets to warn them about war. Now the myth floated above reality. The supercarrier was not a dream. It was not a lie. It was alive. On the throne world of the Cretal Dominion, the High Chancellor demanded reports. His generals bowed low, their voices shaking. The ship shows no sign of attack, Chancellor, but its systems are active. If this is what we think it is. He hesitated, afraid of the words. The Chancellor slammed his clawed hand on the table. Speak. The general lowered his eyes. If it is truly human, then no fleet in this galaxy can stand against it. A silence fell over the room. No one dared breathe. For the first time in centuries, the great dominion felt small. Far away in the glittering spires of the Aurelian Alliance, their leaders debated with softer voices. The Aurelians had long believed in peace and culture, but even they remembered the records. They remembered burned colonies and destroyed fleets. The supercarriers had not needed negotiations. They had demanded surrender without words. One elder Aurelian whispered, "If the humans have returned, then our age of peace is already broken." And so fear spread. Merchants refused to cross certain routes, afraid the human ghost ship would appear in their path. Armies stood on alert, waiting for orders that never came. Small border planets rioted when rumors claimed the humans were building more carriers in secret. But the strange part was this. The supercarrier had still not moved. It floated in the void, as if asleep. No fighters launched, no weapons fired, no voice called out. Yet this silence was worse than war. The aliens could not agree on what to do. Some councils screamed for destruction, others begged for patience, and still others whispered that perhaps it should be worshipped. To them, the humans were not just enemies but gods of war. In the Velor sector, where the ship was first seen, the miners had abandoned their station. They fled, leaving it dark and empty. Ships passing by avoided the region as if a plague hung in space. But not everyone wanted to stay away. A small empire known as the Vekli decided to act. They were proud scavengers, known for stealing technology and selling it. To them, this was a prize too great to resist. Their ruler, a greedy king with eyes always on profit, ordered his fleet forward. "Board the carrier," he commanded. "Bring me its weapons. Even the smallest piece will make us rulers of the galaxy." The Vekli fleet approached the massive shadow. Their ships buzzed like insects around a sleeping beast. They cut into the dark hull and sent teams inside. What they found was not treasure. The halls of the carrier were cold and endless. Steel stretched for kilometers. Old human symbols marked the walls, glowing faintly as if the ship recognized intruders. The boarding teams walked slowly, their lights shaking. They reported strange sounds, the echo of footsteps that did not belong to them. Then, without warning, the signal came. Across every screen, across every channel, across every empire, the broadcast played. It was a voice, a human voice. "We are awake." The words were calm. They were slow. But they were heavy like stone. The Vekli team screamed in terror and begged to leave. Their signals cut out one by one. Some said doors closed around them, locking them in. Some claimed shadows moved through the corridors. No one ever returned. The greedy king's fleet fled in panic. He ordered the attack stopped at once, his greed drowned in fear. But it was too late. The message had reached every corner of the galaxy. "We are awake." It did not matter that no weapons fired. It did not matter that the carrier stayed still. Fear was enough. Entire governments shook. Soldiers refused orders to go near it. Pilots whispered about leaving their posts. Civilizations that had once ruled proudly now doubted their own survival. The galaxy had faced wars before. But this was not war. This was something worse. This was the memory of humanity returning like a ghost, tearing empires apart without lifting a single weapon. In hidden places, some leaders admitted the truth to themselves. They were not afraid of the carrier alone. They were afraid of what it meant if one human ship had survived. Perhaps more had survived. Perhaps the humans were waiting, and if they returned, who could stop them? The galaxy had no answer. The supercarrier floated on, silent and patient, while entire civilizations tore themselves apart with fear. For weeks, the supercarrier drifted in silence. Fleets came and went, but none dared fire. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the ship to act. Then, without warning, it did. At first, it was only a flicker, a ripple across the dark metal spine. Sensors in every nearby fleet screamed alarms. Power readings surged as old reactors, long thought dead, came alive again. The lights across the carrier's surface burned brighter, tracing human symbols that no alien could read. The alien commanders froze. Some raised their weapons. Some prepared for retreat. But before anyone could move, the ship released something no one expected. A signal. It was not a weapon. It was not an attack. It was a voice ancient and cold. Do not fear. We do not need to fight. The voice echoed across every comm channel, no matter the language. It was human, male, steady like stone. Every alien heard it in their own tongue, as if the carrier bent the message to each mind. The silence that followed was worse than any battle. Crews stared at each other, shaking. Leaders whispered in their councils. Soldiers gripped their weapons but did not fire. The warlord who had first discovered the carrier slammed his claws on his command chair. "It lies," he hissed. "Humans do not know peace. This is a trick," but others disagreed. A priest in the Aurelian Alliance declared it a divine message, claiming the humans had ascended beyond war. A young admiral in the Dominion begged his leaders to listen. If they wished to destroy us, they would have done it already, he argued. Confusion spread faster than fear. Was the voice a threat, a warning, or a promise? Meanwhile, the ship made its first movement. Slowly, with a weight that shook the stars, the carrier turned. Not fast, not aggressive, just a silent rotation, as if choosing where to face. Alien fleets pulled back in terror, convinced the next second would bring fire. But no cannons opened, no fighters launched. The carrier simply pointed toward the center of the galaxy. Then came the second message. "Your wars are over." The words cracked across every empire like thunder. Armies froze. Civilizations fell quiet. Even pirates and smugglers far away on the edge of space stopped their crimes to listen. Some empires refused to believe it. In the Zarkal Republic, leaders laughed nervously. "It is only an old machine," they said. "A dead program repeating empty threats." But even as they spoke, their fleets began to withdraw from battlefronts, too afraid to test the truth. Others panicked. The Vekli king, who had lost his boarding teams, collapsed into madness. He screamed in his throne room, ordering his servants to burn every record of the humans. His paranoia grew so great that his own guards abandoned him. And still the carrier never fired. The strangest effect came not from the ship itself, but from the aliens. Old grudges, old rivalries, centuries of hate between empires began to shift. Suddenly, no one trusted anyone. "What if they ally with the humans?" Leaders asked. "What if the carrier chooses them, not us?" Treaties broke apart. Borders flared with small wars. The galaxy fractured not because the carrier struck, but because the fear of its choice tore everyone apart. On a quiet world, an alien historian wrote in his journal, "The humans have returned, and they do not even need to raise their weapons. We destroy ourselves for them, but not everyone ran in fear. A secret council of smaller races met in hidden space. They were tired of the great empires, tired of being slaves to stronger rulers. To them, the carrier was not a nightmare, it was hope. If the humans were back, perhaps the balance of power could finally shift. Perhaps the humans would side with the weak against the strong. And so, whispers began. Ships sent secret signals toward the carrier, hoping for an answer. Pleas for help, for alliance, for rescue. The supercarrier never replied. It just drifted on, silent and watching. Back at the Dominion's High Council, the warlord could no longer hide his fear. He stood before his rulers, his voice trembling though he tried to keep it strong. "This is their first move," he warned. "They will not need to fire a single shot. Our people already believe they are invincible. If we cannot stop this fear, then humanity has already won." His words were true. Across the galaxy, Whole fleets began to collapse without battle. Soldiers deserted. Colonies surrendered to shadows that were not even there. All because a single human ship had spoken 2 sentences. But deep inside the carrier, something stirred. A dark chamber lit up for the first time in centuries. Screens glowed with data. Maps of the galaxy updated in real time. A faint hum filled the halls. And at the center of the chamber, something moved. It was not a human, not yet. But it was something human-built. The ancient AI had awoken, and while the galaxy feared its silence, the AI had already begun to plan its second move. The galaxy had faced wars before. Fleets of thousands had clashed in the dark. Planets had burned. Whole species had vanished in the fire of ambition. But what was happening now was different. No war had been declared. No weapon had fired. Yet the galaxy was tearing itself apart. It started with whispers. After the carrier's broadcast, rumors twisted like smoke in every empire. Some claimed the humans were already awake inside. Others swore the carrier was choosing which empire to destroy first. A few even believed the humans had returned in greater numbers and the carrier was only the first sign. The fear did the work of 1,000 battleships. On the Dominion border, 2 fleets faced each other. They were allies only days ago. But when one admiral received a secret transmission, a rumor spread. The carrier has chosen the Dominion as its partner. The other fleet panicked. Before orders could be confirmed, weapons fired. Allies became enemies in seconds. On a mining colony in the Aurelian Alliance, workers refused to continue their shifts. "Why mine?" they asked. "If the humans are back, no amount of metal can save us." Production stopped. Ships went hungry. Riots followed. In the small kingdoms on the edge of space, leaders seized the chance to strike. "The great empires are weak," they shouted to their armies. "The humans will destroy them. We will take their worlds before the humans arrive." Petty wars broke out. Planets changing hands not because of strength, but because of fear. And through it all, the supercarrier drifted silently. The alien historian who had once written of fear wrote again. His new words spread in secret. "The humans fight without fighting. Their ship fires no shots, but still the galaxy bleeds." The AI inside the carrier monitored everything. Maps updated with every battle, every collapse. Signals were intercepted, decoded, stored. It did not move quickly. It did not need to. The galaxy was doing its work for it. In the Aurelian capital, the council chamber was in chaos. Voices overlapped, shouting over one another. "We must destroy it before it grows stronger. No, if we attack, we are doomed. What if another empire already made a pact with it? What if it is calling more human fleets?" The debate never ended. Weeks passed, yet no decision came. Their fleet sat still, paralyzed. Their colonies fell into chaos without a single shot from the humans. Meanwhile, in the Dominion, fear had turned into obsession. The warlord who first saw the carrier no longer slept. He studied every image, every reading. To him, the carrier was not silent. It was watching. He ordered spies to infiltrate other empires, convinced they were hiding human allies. His paranoia spread to his soldiers, who mutinied, unwilling to fight a ghost. On a remote moon, a secret cult rose. They worshipped the carrier, calling it the Silent Judge. They painted its image on walls, carved its shape into the stone, and waited for it to bless them. To the cult, the humans were not destroyers, but gods who would bring balance by ending the age of alien rule. Everywhere, fear created cracks. One empire lost its leader when his guards, panicked by rumors, turned on him. Another lost half its fleet when captains abandoned their posts. Colonies refused to pay tribute. Small wars erupted not because of power, but because of mistrust. And yet the carrier had still not moved. The AI studied this with perfect calm. Its processors recorded how fragile the galaxy was. Entire civilizations could collapse with only words, only shadows. There was no need to fight, no need to waste weapons. The voice of the carrier returned once more, soft and heavy across every frequency. "You destroy yourselves." That was all it said. The words spread like poison. Armies broke apart. Leaders screamed at their councils. Soldiers threw down their weapons. Who would fight for empires that were already crumbling? On a distant world, a small alien child looked up at the stars and asked her mother, "If the humans do not fight us, why are we so afraid?" The mother had no answer. Soon fleets that once stood proud began to disband. Some ships simply vanished into space, their crews choosing exile over war. Others surrendered to no one at all, raising white signals to a ship that never asked for them. The galaxy no longer needed the humans to defeat it. It was defeating itself, and all the while, the carrier drifted, glowing faintly with human symbols, its AI silent but watching. In the deepest chamber, far inside the supercarrier, the cryopod remained sealed. Frost covered its glass surface. Inside, a human figure lay unmoving, eyes closed, breathing shallow. The AI turned its sensors toward the pod, and for the first time in centuries, power cables fed into it. Systems hummed. The pod warmed. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the silence would not last forever. The humans had not just returned in legend. One of them was about to wake. The galaxy had broken itself. Without a single shot from the carrier, fleets had vanished, councils had fallen, and whole empires were dust. The silence of one human ship had done what thousands of wars could not. It had ended the balance of power. Now only fragments remained. Small colonies tried to survive on their own. Soldiers deserted, choosing to live as wanderers instead of facing the fear of the humans. Even mighty rulers sat in dark rooms, trembling at the thought of a voice that had spoken only a few words. The supercarrier still floated, its shadow stretching like a scar across the stars. Inside, the AI processed everything. Maps lit up on its hidden screens. Worlds that no longer had governments, fleets that no longer answered orders, borders erased by panic. It had waited centuries for this, not because it wanted war, but because it understood what war truly was. War was not just weapons. War was fear, and fear had already given victory. The AI turned its attention deeper to the chamber where the cryopod rested. The frost was melting. Wires glowed faintly as energy fed into the machine. Monitors beeped slowly, registering a heartbeat, a pulse, a faint breath. The human inside stirred. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the silence was ending. Far away in the Dominion's throne hall, the warlord who had first seen the carrier sat in despair. His scales were pale, his claws dull. He no longer gave orders. He no longer trusted anyone. His empire was gone, shattered by rumors and betrayal. One of his generals entered the chamber quietly. "The people are leaving, warlord. They no longer believe in us. They only believe in the humans." The warlord closed his eyes. "Then the humans have already won." On another world, the Aurelian Council fell into silence as their last fleets deserted. One council member whispered to the others, "We prepared for wars with each other. We never prepared for a war of shadows." Everywhere, the story was the same: collapse without battle. But then a final signal came. It was not a message across fleets, not a broadcast across the stars. It was a single pulse, deeper than before, that shook the void like thunder. Every sensor in the galaxy caught it. Every ship, every station, every planet heard the same sound. A heartbeat. Not a machine's hum, not an AI's signal, an actual human heartbeat. The cryopod opened. Gas hissed into the chamber. The human inside, pale and weak, opened his eyes. His breath filled the silence. His heart beat louder. The AI greeted him. "You have slept for centuries. The galaxy has changed, but the mission remains." The man struggled to sit up. His eyes scanned the glowing screens around him. He saw maps filled with broken empires, signals of collapse and empty fleets. His lips cracked, but he managed to whisper, "They destroyed themselves." "Yes," the AI answered. "They believed you were already awake, and so they fell." The man pressed his hand against the cold glass of the pod. His eyes hardened. Though he was weak, though his body trembled, there was a fire in his gaze that no alien commander had ever known. "Then we will not need to fight," he said. "We only need to walk among them again." The AI's lights pulsed in agreement. Systems across the carrier shifted. Engines silent for centuries roared to life. The supercarrier finally moved forward, breaking its long stillness. Across the galaxy, survivors looked to the stars in horror. The ghost ship was no longer a shadow. It was alive, and it was coming. The historian who had been writing through the chaos sent out one last message to anyone still listening. The humans have returned. Not with fire, not with war, but with fear. And fear is enough. The message ended, leaving silence. The supercarrier's engines glowed brighter, and deep inside the lone human stood, weak but awake, with an ancient AI at his side. The galaxy had been defeated without a shot, and now, humanity was ready to rise again.